Hello and welcome to this single player demonstration of Orb and Crown OC15, and this is episode 5. Let's go straight to the game. Alright, Guildford and Angnord continue to make preparations for taking back the land that has been taken from them. Now, I have not seen the building of the tunnel yet, so I'm not too sure whether I need to worry too much about Guartenheim or whether I just need to focus on the Dreadworm alone, but the coming turns will make that clear. Alright, so as I have been and will continue to do, I am dumping my my points, my gold pieces into the units, but first, before I go anywhere and forget again, I'm going to move the Maelstrom Giants down out of Maelstrom itself, transport them down. Costs 80 gold pieces. Transportation in Orb and Crown is quite expensive. That's intentional. It's meant to make people think about whether they can obviously afford it, but also to plan ahead, so that you need to have those gold pieces all stored up to pay for the troops to provision them, because when they get to the other side or wherever it is they're going to, probably they might not be able to forage off the land and will need to have a few stores. They need to have a whole heap of things to be able to maintain an invasion. So yeah, it's quite expensive, and because giants are an expensive unit, this is even more so. Alright, so I do want to spend the 80. Now I know that the Viking Channel is free of aggressive, or what's the word, mobilized, that'll do, mobilized Vikings, so even if there were to be a ship in there, which there won't be because the AI doesn't move them around until the country is mobilized, I am safe just to transport them straight down. So now I've got the Maelstrom Giants in Angnord with me, and I'll also bring down there, this is an excuse me, an undersea unit of monster sharks from Maelstrom, and this is a aquatic unit from Maelstrom as well, Sarasa, who is the daughter of King Hecaton of Maelstrom. And if you've got the Dungeons and Dragons module Storm King's Thunder, of course that is the Maelstrom of that that module. So brought them down. Angnord is on 160 points, so 160 gold pieces. So here we go. Let's spend that 160. No point keeping it when we need it. Oops, I probably should have done the elites first, but it doesn't matter. All right, down to 5 points, and that will go into the upgrade of the militia down there. I'll leave the fleet out there at the moment. Okay, going across to Angford. Bishop of Huntington is fully revived and ready to go, realizing the danger of the situation. Down to the ancient lands. As I said, going on a defensive footing down here, so I will move the leaders up. I could force march them, but I'm going to leave it for now. Imhotep, 44%, so there's no real threat from them, but I do like to have my units on full strength if I possibly can. I'll leave Mellitus there. Yes, I'll leave the Mellitus unit there, and I'll need to move these units, the big wings and the giant wings, to be able to upgrade them properly. Alright, that's them. Over to Mulcairn, continue to move the leader up. And how are we going for points? 110, not very many. So Transmoridonia is on 68% at the moment. So they're moving, and will continue to move towards Guartenheim, who are putting pressure on them to join them. But at this stage they're holding them off reasonably well. militias into position to do a bit of first responder type activities, and continue to move the other units to the north, leaving the ships in their ports at the moment. As I said, I'm saving up the coin to get an elite unit. Okay, over to Tribal League, and they have hit the 318 points, and so that means, of course, that they can now purchase an elite unit, which they will. And the next one after that will be this giant unit, also worth 300 gold pieces. So the elites first, doesn't really matter, the King's Guard, purchase them, and continue to move into position for this eventual attack against the Xantu. Now this will take quite a while for Tribal League to get the next 300 points and in readiness to buy the giants, and then the giants have to go through the production delay, so it takes a little while, but in that time Tribal League will be starting to do other things, like starting to prepare for their fleet to get better prepared, so using research technology for fleet actions, and that's going to keep them occupied. But as a player, my focus will be elsewhere. My focus will still be on this Angnord area here and Angford down here. So this whole area in this blue area, the blue bit here, will be my focus, because Guatenheim will of course also activate, well, obviously activate. It is activated now and mobilized, but I don't know where the attack is going to come. Alright, let's end the turn and see if we can find out. Sinai has moved quite a bit. See, 24%. You know, that 4% stuff. No, none of that. You get a good movement in the diplomacy area. Angnord is on the 226 points. The arms smugglers continue to bring some in. The Taxus continues to bring some in, and the rest of them are getting measly amounts, except maybe the ancients, who are doing reasonably well. Okay. Movement from Draka, but I can't really see anything happening. Oh, here we go. Now what I'm looking for here is where the dragon is. If the dragon is in the east, I'm safe in the west. If the dragon's in the west, I'm safe in the east. So once Draka starts making attacks, that's good info. Alright, that was a nice quick move, nothing happened. And I'll just continue to move these units. Mittelheim is on 87%, so it won't take long now, and they will mobilize. Right, just probably one or two more turns, and Guildford and Angford will be ready to do whatever it is they're going to do. And it doesn't look like this tunnel's going to be built, so where is he going to attack from? My guess is, because I haven't seen any build-up around this area here, that he's going to do they. Guatenheim is the land of liches and humanoids and horrible giants and undead, all the good stuff down there. By good, of course, I mean evil. So they're going to probably attack here in Moradon again. That will be interesting. It's always fascinating when they do that, because Moradon's not ready, and they roll over them quickly. Alright, enough said. Let's go back up here and continue to put in some points. Really? Oh my goodness. They really need to mobilize. They're on 69%. Once they mobilize, then their gold pieces will shoot up. Now the ancients, they have 289. I was normally I'd be aiming to get elites for them as well, because I'd be attacking down into Imhotep. But this time I'm actually not. I'm going to see if I can start their research going. And the first one that I'm going to go for is relatively cheap. It's ranged weapons. So ranged weapons, it says there, most land units will get a +1 attack versus light and medium armor. They do +5 demoralization and have +1 defense versus air attack and ranged naval. Veterans and large humanoids get +1 versus medium and heavy armor as well, and +1 de-entrenchment. Skywatchers get +1 AD. So there's a lot that these ranged weapons this range weapons technology does. Now, it represents archery, of course, but it also represents the sorts of ranged sorts of weapons that an army might have, like ballistas and catapults and trebuchets, if they're that technologically advanced. So anyway, let's put 100 into that. And I've got 189 left. No, I don't want to do any more. The next one that I'll probably put it into is magic, because that has a good effect too, but I need another 11 points for that, so next turn. And I think at this point I'm going to leave the ancients there. And maybe have a look at diplomacy. They've got one shit ready to go. I'll put that into Crowan has already got one, and the other one is Cardia, which is in the north of the Tribal League. I don't want to declare war on them. I did that one. Did that in my last game. I hit the wrong button. That is really annoying. So let's go with that and close. It's Malkan. I've got 200 gold pieces. What's in their production queue? If you want to see their production queue, the quickest way that I know of anyway is to right click on their icon over here on the left, and that will bring up their production table straight away. Okay, so they've only got one elite unit, so I do need to keep saving for the next one. 210 I should go and get it next turn. Just a bit. Light cavalry can move up there, keep an eye on what's going on. Maybe across the border in Guantanheim and down to the Tribal League. Look, they've got that paltry 65 gold pieces there, but like I said, it's going to be a slow burn for them. All right, have a look out at the strategic map. Seems pretty good. We'll just end the turn at this point. Alright, now this decision here needs a little bit of explanation. Let's have a look at the map before I even read it. Alright, so that's the situation in Ang Nord at the moment. Now you can see that the boundary here for Draka is relatively short. Alright, so everywhere there, if he sees things, he can attack. So with this decision here, you can complete a warship or influence the dwarves. So the Lord Admiral and the Lord Councillor have presented two ideas for your consideration. Complete a warship. Our navy is strong but threatened by the Vikings. The Warspite is nearing completion in Donsborough and could be completed more quickly with some extra incentive given. The Lord Councillor says, we could use the Dwarf Kingdom to threaten the forces of the enemy, send emissaries with gifts to sway the dwarves to our cause. Do you want to complete the Warspite or send emissaries to the Dwarf Kingdom? Alright, looking at the notes here, build the warship. This option will add a warship unit at Donsborough when Waters Bend Castle is occupied by Angnord. It will cost 50 gold pieces for 3 turns. Now the reason why that is important is because in previous versions the Warspite was built immediately, and it was within range of both Draka and the strategic bomber that he has. I call them that. They're huge wings, large giant wings. So that meant that the Warspite, after spending 150 gold pieces on it, would land in the would be launched in the harbour of Donsborough to be set on fire and sunk by the Dreadworm. So what happens now is that not until Waters Bend is recaptured will it be built and launched. Or you can mobilise the dwarves. This option will mobilise the Dwarf Kingdom by 10 to 20% at the cost of 30 gold pieces for 2 turns. Okay, so that's the cheaper option. Let's see what we end up with. If I can just find where I put it. There we go. And they say no. Okay. Well, in that case, that means we are going to approach the Dwarf Kingdom, which will help because the Dwarf Kingdom will mobilize faster. Right. Dwarf Kingdom is sympathetic to Angford. Mittelheim prepares for war. Okay. The Vikings are going to get into it. And we have a few gold pieces and so forth. That means that the Steading Hill Giants here have mobilized and joined Draka. So they're still continuing to attack Xander's Keep to very little effect. As I've said before, really the only way that they can do it is if Draka gets involved doing that. And Dania prepares for war. This is a large country on the adversary side. And we are over time, so I'm going to leave it there, and I'll see you next time.